G'day everyone, my name's Tom. I'm the kids pastor here at Living Church, and with everything that's happened in the last few days, we know that things are happening a little bit differently in terms of how we do ministry as a church. One of the things we're really keen to encourage though is for ministry and discipleship to be happening with kids. So we want to be sharing the resources that we have that our kids teams would normally be using. We want to be sharing those resources with families so that discipleship can continue happening with kids and families. So this week and for the foreseeable future, we're planning to be sharing our kids curriculum with parents, and we would love to see growth groups including kids as they meet together on Sundays as we do church in a more decentralised way. So our kids curriculum, we're really lucky that we're already working with a curriculum where kids are learning the same things as adults are in church. So it shouldn't be too difficult, conceivably, to integrate some of these kids' activities with what's happening in adult growth groups. So if you do download this resource, we see it being helpful in a couple of different ways. So as you look at it, you'll notice it's actually across 2 pages. We've tried to make this not so involved that you feel like you need to follow it word for word. We see it more as a toolkit rather than a rule kit. So a bunch of things that you can use in ways that work for the kids that are in your group. So you'll notice on the first page of each lesson plan, we have the key information for the lesson down the side. We have a big idea. We see that as the summary of the big thing that we want kids to walk away knowing or understanding. It's similar to the adult big idea, but it's been adjusted to be a bit more understandable for primary age kids. There's also an application. We don't want kids just to be learning things, but actually to be changed by what they're learning in the gospel. So the application is where we think we can start living what we've learned in practical ways. And then there's a memory verse. Now, our memory verses run consistent across the term. We pick one memory verse to really hone in on. So this term, our memory verse is from Luke 24, 46 and 47. And that'll be the same till the end of term. Now, the lesson plan is divided into 2 key areas. There's big group time and small group time, because that's how we used to do things in kids' church. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit different in growth groups. We won't have as big a group to meet with, and we might not break into smaller groups. But the activities are still there and could still be useful. So we always start with some songs in kids' church. We've got 2 suggestions for each week, 2 song suggestions. You can look those up on YouTube, and we'll be making lyric videos available. We think those 2 songs in particular from our repertoire tie in well with the big idea and application for the week. But if there's songs that your kids really enjoy singing, we encourage you to use those too. Remember, these are suggestions, not rules. There's also a discovery time activity. We see this as an activity that we would do in a big group, but this activity might be something that you'd like to do with your adult growth group, to include adults and kids, just as a practical way of engaging with the big idea for the day. Something fun, something that really helps us highlight what we're trying to learn from the passage as the day. We also have a Bible passage overview. Now, this is something that we've encouraged our kids' church leaders to read. This is kind of, with some of the Bible passages that we work through, we can go in lots of different directions with them. But the Bible passage overview helps us to see how we get to our big idea and application from the text that we're working through for the day. So more of a resource there just in preparation, and we would encourage you to be preparing as you think about how to integrate kids into your group. The last thing you'll see in our big group time is a suggestion for a linking question, something just to leave hanging in kids' minds. That might be a way to finish your group together as you meet on Sundays. So the question this week is, how will you respond to Jesus? More of a rhetorical question to get kids and families thinking about, actually, what does this mean for me? Now, that's the suggestion for big group time. Small group time, we have another activity. Again, this activity is a fun and engaging thing to do with a group, but this activity will often, more often than not, tie in with our application. We have some discussion questions in response to the passage, which go through head, heart, hands, thinking through what we know, how that affects us at the core of who we are, and then how we can live that out. Now, like I said, we've used these in a particular way in kids' church, but you might use them differently in growth groups. I think with the adult growth group that I lead, we'll probably be doing the discovery time activity with our adult growth group on Sunday as we do our church together in a small group. Then later in the week, we'll probably do the small group activity as a family. And we might use some of these questions as a discussion with our kids during the week. The other resource that we're making available with this outline are the activity sheets. Now again, these are a helpful tool. Feel free to use them if you think they'll be useful for your kids. These activity sheets have the big idea application on them, along with 2 or 3 simple questions down the side. But each activity on the sheet has something to do with the big idea or application. So if you're including your kids in your church time together on Sundays, you might give them these while they listen to the talk with you. This will give them something to do that actually is in line with what's happening in the talk that's being given via video. Or you might like to use these as a discussion starter. You could use them throughout the week. Remember, how you use them isn't really important. We just want to be encouraging you to be engaging kids with the gospel and the good news of Jesus, and we want to do what we can to support that. So if you have any ideas of what your group is going to do, please let us know, and we might be able to share those with other people too. Guys, we'll be praying for you as you look after kids in our church family over the coming weeks. We pray that God will be with you and that these will be helpful resources in encouraging your kids and your families. We'll see you later.